I can't find the words to explain to you how good these pro gamers are.
He's actually stimming his units as he leaves the base. He's trying to get so many other players' face that there's not even time for the Bailings to finish.
Naniwa's got his army split up. He's got one attack on the right-hand side. Another chasing down the army. Storm's come down.
These are the best of the best in esports history.
And Hux starting to blink forward as the Zealots are removed. The supply goes in Hux's favor.
So much energy. Where did that energy come from? Tanks desperately trying to target fire down Queens.
The Archon's moving forward. A lot is going down here, and only Colossus left over.
He's starting to get some feedbacks down. He's starting to advance forward. Another vortex.
There's the blink forward, trying to get underneath those Brood Lords. Oh, he sends the vortex.
Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, hello from the MLG studios here in New York City, and welcome back to the Winter Season Showdowns, where pretty much every single day of the week over the next month, we're going to have some awesome Heart of the Swarm Best of Fives occurring to determine who gets a spot at the Winter Championship event in Dallas, Texas on March 15th. My name is axeltoss. I am joined by axslav. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. The one downside is all the Kespa matches are behind us. Last week we finished them up, but the good news is we're into Europe now.
Yes.
Traveling the globe.
We're finally going to find out which Europeans are going to qualify for that event. We're going to have the answer to that at the end of this week, of course. Over the past few days, the past week, in fact, we've had the Kespa matches going on. And let's go ahead and recap those for those of you who missed it. Of course, if you missed any of these matches, they are available right now as we speak in full 1080p HD on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/official MLGSE2. So with that being said, if you don't want to be spoiled, you know, mute the stream or whatever. But here are the results. Parting taking out Fantasy 3-1. Hero taking out Woro 3-2. Innovation taking out TY or Baby 3-1. Last taking out Sulky 3-1. And we had an epic match on Friday with Flying taking out Rain 3-2. If you missed that one, definitely go back and watch it. Very exciting PvP. But that leads us to the upcoming week, of course, the Europeans. With a lot of great European matches. And I think what I'm most excited about is that there's no questions as to have these guys been practicing Heart of the Swarm. Every single one of these players, with maybe two exceptions in Nurchio and Thorazane, every single one of them have pretty much 100% been playing Heart of the Swarm. We're going to see the latest strategies in Heart of the Swarm from some of the best players in the world, of course, these Europeans. Lots of epic matchups coming up. Of course, Sase versus Snoot will be today. Nurchio versus Baby Knight will occur tomorrow. Again, every single day, 5 p.m. Eastern. Stefano Titan, Mana Blythe, Sake Thorazane, Grubby, Damaga. So many amazing names, so many amazing matchups. Of course, the winner of each of those gets that spot at the Winter Championship event in Dallas, Texas.
They do. They do. It's, I mean, that's a big spot.
Yeah.
For those guys who don't know, there's only 32 people who are going to get those spots. There's $75,000 divided up amongst those 32 people. So just getting that spot, you get the free trip and a enormous probability to win a good amount of money. Just because number of players and number of money, it's you know it's a lot of money.
It's an amazing opportunity for these guys. Again, there's some guys that maybe they haven't traveled in a while. This is going to be the first premier Heart of the Swarm tournament, so it's a great chance to get their foot in the door, to become known as the one of the best Heart of the Swarm players, because the game it's going to launch a mere days before that event happens. So great opportunity for every single one of these guys. They're all going to be practicing their hardest, trying their hardest in these games to win. That being said, that brings us to a discussion about today's match. It's going to be Sase versus Snoot. What an epic matchup this should be. Two very handsome gentlemen, of course, Sase from Sweden and Snoot from Norway. Snoot recently joining Team Liquid. This is Liquid's debut in this tournament. Of course, Sase, I believe, is currently teamless. A PVZ as well. Let's talk about these. Let's talk about this match.
So I mean, I like both these guys. I mean, Sase, of course, is a great Warcraft 3 player back when I used to play. Snoot, though, I had the pleasure to meet him at ESWC 2011. It's like about 15, 16 months ago. And he is just an amazing human being.
He is.
Like, he's just, I really like the guy. He's awesome. He's a kind person. And I in a way, like, I want to cheer for Sase because he's Protoss, and I like Protoss.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Snoots, I can't not cheer for Snoot. He's he's from Norway, an awesome country, a cool group of people, and he's a good representation.
Yeah, of course, a Liquid player as well, recently joining that team, so I'm sure there's a lot of people watching who are huge fans of him. Of course, Sase, on the other side of things, honestly, he probably was and might still be one of my favorite players to watch. Such a creative guy, very innovative in his strategies, excellent harassment tools, excellent multitasking ability. It's always so much fun to watch this guy play. So that being said, I think this match is going to be phenomenal.
It really is. Sase's micro and harassment is just insanely strong. Snoot's going to be hard-pressed to keep up with it because this guy plays a very, very unique game that catches people out of their elements. They could be a little bit off guard. And then he combines that with just amazing harass and micro skills that, first you're spinning to deal with his strategy because you've never seen it before.
Right.
And then you've got to deal with all this other stuff he's throwing at you too. A very difficult player to go up against.
All right, guys, it begins right now. By the end of this best of 5, we're going to know which one of these players will get an all-expenses-paid trip to participate in the MLG Winter Championships on March 15th in Dallas, Texas. In the bottom left-hand location, we have the Red Protoss player. He's currently teamless, one of the most creative players in the world. He is Sase. And, of course, his opponent in the top right-hand location, hailing from Norway. Very underrated player leading up to his Home Story Cup victory in December. Got noticed by Team Liquid and now wears their beautiful colors. The beautiful color. Colors, I don't even know how to define that blue, but it's very, very nice color. He is Snoot. And each of these guys definitely has been playing plenty of Heart of the Swarm to prepare for this. There's no more questions as far as have these guys been practicing for Wings Liberty for Pro League that we had all last week in the Kespa matches. None of those questions come to mind here because these guys are focusing exclusively on Heart of the Swarm. This should be a very exciting match.
It really is. Daybreak's going to be a really cool map to see how it plays out. Traditionally Zergs like Daybreak because they just turtle it out. There's limited attack pass. They make a lot of Spine Cores and they go Broodlords and slow push. The Broodlords supported by Spines and Infestors. But the Broodlords, I think, are no longer a great option against Protoss because the Tempest shut them down so efficiently. But the other strategy we saw in Daybreak before, in fact, we've seen it already in this tournament in one of the earlier matches, is that Mutalists they were powerful in Daybreak before.
Yes.
And Mutalists have only gotten better. Like, they're just... The regen is... I can't stress how big regen is because the way to counter Mutalisk harass is to damage him, and there's nothing... Protoss doesn't have any one unit to just, like, kills a single Mutalisk, right? What you do is you have a lot of area effect tools to weaken them, and then once they're weakened, they're not... I mean, next time they come back, then they'll die because they're all hurt.
Right.
But with the regeneration, a Zerg player playing smart can just make sure they back away before they die, regenerate, and then come back and do more damage, and it's through continual harassment throughout the game.
That's a great point. Of course, to get to that stage might be the biggest issue for the Zerg player. Protosses now have a lot of ability in the early game to kind of throw their opponent off guard, kind of go after that drone count to make it unsafe to go for those mutas, or just make it not possible. Stargate openings, I feel like, should be a staple of PvZ nowadays, considering the new Oracle, which has the ability to decimate a mineral line potentially, while at the same time enhancing your ability to transition to Phoenix to furthermore dissuade your opponent from transitioning to those mutalisks. So we'll have to see what these guys do. I feel like it's going to be Snoot electing to go for the reactive type play, considering his race and playstyle, and I feel like Sase will go for some sort of pressure build before he gets that third base off of 2 bases. And the question is, what is that going to incorporate? Are we going to see a War Prism? Are we going to see an Oracle? Once the Cybercore finishes and once he puts down his tech, we're going to start finding that stuff out.
We are. I like how you talked about the Protoss Stark units. They're so much more powerful now in Heart of the Swarm. Really, the strength of Protoss is both, like, the Mothership Core allows for a lot more early pressure builds, great for those Immortal pushes, and then the Stark units are so powerful. Oracles, we've seen them devastate worker lines. Phoenixes with more range. Void Rays with a faster attack rate and more damage output per hit against pretty much every single possible target it could be attacking. So all much stronger units. A lot of Zerg players, to me, that I've talked to, have actually complained that the 2-base Immortal with the Mothership added in, Mothership Core, is basically unbeatable. And I think now, in the past, I've always thought by far the best way to counter that build was by sacking your third and just spawning up your natural. And getting some lair tech units so you could be okay on even economy. And now with the Mothership Core and Time Warp, I think Roaches just cannot stop that build anymore. You've got to rely on Spine Cores, plus teching behind the Spine Cores you tech to either Mutilus or Swarm Host now are insanely efficient against actually anything Protoss does. Swarm Hosts are just very, very powerful. But you know what? Sase says, you know what? I'm not going to let you get to those scary Swarm Hosts or Mutilus or whatever you have in mind. I'm building a lot of gateways.
We've got 8 gateways on the field here for Sase, currently warping themselves into gateways, and then of course into those warp gates. +1 weapons is about to finish as well. Sase providing some pressure across the map with 2 Zealots, a Stalker, and a Mothership Core, slowly adding on those pylons closer and closer to his opponent's third base. And look at that, we just had a bunch of drones in the production tab here from Snoot, and his Roach one isn't done yet.
Snoot's almost doubling his opponent's drone count, which is normally good, but not if you're in danger of dying. At the very least, he has to give the third base. If he tries to defend his third base, he's going to lose the game 100%. If he gives it up immediately, I think he actually still has a good shot at beating this tactic, as long as he's got 12 Roaches on the way. The downside is so many of them are being built into third. They might get cut off and die as they pop out if Sase moves decisively right now.
Snoot doesn't know the extent of this pressure, but now he does. Seeing all those Zealots and the Stalkers, he should know it's an 8-gate all-in, but all of his units are currently at his natural expansion. Great time warp there from Sase, slowing those Roaches, trying to prevent them from retreating to the natural expansion. Drone's going to try to fight here, and Snoot going to try to reinforce here from the natural expansion, getting a decent surround on the Stalkers, but Sase is just going to continually warp in more and more units with 8 gateways worth of reinforcements.
It is a situation where you can't have the Zenith stuck at third. You've got to give that up. And I think Snoot wanted to, but the beautiful time warp really denied him from being able to retreat. Now there's too many units from Sase here. Even taking the supply lead, Snoot's in so much trouble against this massive early-on Protoss assault. Drones
are being pulled here from Snoot, something you never really want to do when dealing with aggression from the Protoss player. More and more Zealots and Stalkers going to be warped in here from Sase. Look at how close this forward pylon was. That's the first step as a Zerg player. You got to ensure your opponent doesn't get this many reinforcements pylon this close to your side of the map, because then they can just reinforce forever and you have no answer. No answer there for Snoot. He's going to throw down the GG, and Sase taking game number 1 quite quickly.
He really did. I mean, Snoot didn't see it coming. The Roaches were all spawning at third base. They popped out a beautiful time warp by Sase. And Snoot was stuck. Like, the Zerg always wants to sack the third against that push. They sack the third, hold the natural, they win. He couldn't sack the third because his units were stuck there.
He didn't know either. Like, ideally, you can see, all right, this pylon is close. All right, I see 8 gateways with my Overlord in his base, and I have an idea, okay, this is how much he's investing into it. But he didn't know about how much investment Sase was putting into that attack until the Zealots and Stalkers were literally right outside of his hatch rate as their base. And by that time, it was too late to retreat because, of course, as you said, the time warp, the Protoss units have ability to flank there because Stalkers are so fast, and of course, force fields, and of course, Sase had a forward pylon right next to Snoot's natural expansion that Snoot was not able to identify. So great execution of that build there from Sase. Utilizing the 8 gates and just catching Snoot completely off guard. Really ideal execution.
If you're a Protoss player in the ladder, you have trouble Zerg in mid game, that's a beautiful build. Take it from Sase. Watch the VOD at youtube.com/official MLG2. Take notes on exact build order, when everything's being built. The probes he stopped at, I believe it was 38. Beautiful, beautiful execution there. I can't say anything else.
All right, guys, that concludes Game 1 of this Heart of the Swarm Best of 5. Again, the winner goes to Dallas. Game 2 coming up next between Sase and Snoot.